People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, on today's episode, we have a guy that I've known for a long time. Somehow he knew me before I knew him. I graduated high school a couple years before him. He got me a job working at a school for troubled kids where I taught magic. And he was like, "Hey, how are you? Great to see you." And he's known me forever. And I'm like, "I know you, but I don't, whatever." Anyway, I got the job. Everything was great. Became better friends with him. Became really good friends with him at that gig there. He's come over to our house. He shot guns in the backyard, hung out in the magic room. We threw axes at the little wall outside. This dude, he does so many different things. He's an actor. He does murder mystery theaters. He does library shows, school shows. He has a party bus that he takes to different events. This dude's got so many different things. I don't think we can get it all done in an hour, but we're going to try. Everybody, it's Aaron Hale. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, man?
And we got you right here. I'm looking at you right in the face, man. This is weird.
I'm not going to
look at you. I'm going to look at my notes here.
Yeah, we can't whisper things back and forth about him.
No.
Like
That's true. You can't pass notes. Nothing.
Nope.
I got you.
Aaron said he listened to last week's podcast and he heard me scribbling notes. I'm like, I might have been just doodling. I don't know.
No, that's funny. Yeah.
Anyway, so what's up, man? How are you?
I'm pretty good. As you just said, busy as ever. Luckily, I'm very thankful for that I've been able to keep all of my jobs running and going for me, but doing well and glad to be living.
Did you pause at all during the pandemic, or were you still hustling?
There was about a 2 or 3 month pause there, but I think from March to June, it was very slow. But in June, once we went into phase 3, I was able to start operating the party bus again because it's just private bookings, and so we could have private groups of 10 or less. So we were able to keep that going again, which is good.
Yeah.
That's one of the largest expenses too. So I was glad that I was able to get that going. We did lose a couple of our gigs because of it, but in the past several months, I've been making up for those at other places, and it's been going pretty well.
That's
so
awesome. We
we have listeners from 26 different countries. What's your radius that you do the party bus, and what is the party bus?
Okay, so I have the Seaville Party Bus, and that actually initially started branching off from my DJing business. I've been doing karaoke for 12 years, hosting that, and one of the guys that works for me said, "Hey, Aaron, one day we should get a karaoke party bus." I was like, "Yeah, man, that sounds like a great idea, but I don't think I can ever afford that, get that going." But what do you know, some things in life happen for me, and I was like, "Hey, let's look into this, let's give it a shot." Made it happen, and in Charlottesville, there are several breweries and wineries around the area that people from all over the world literally come and want to see. And so most people want me to take them out to vineyards, breweries, cideries, stuff like that. I get a lot of people that need transportation for bridal parties, from their wedding to the reception, or to take photographs somewhere. I've been asked to do school prom transportation, all of that kind of stuff. But the main idea is just to give people a fun way to have transportation in a safe way as well. And it's been great. Radius is mostly Central Virginia. We do about 100-mile radius all around from Charlottesville. We could go up to DC. Just got back from West Virginia this past weekend. So I like to keep it within 100 miles or so there.
Wow.
How many people can you fit on your bus?
So now things have just opened back up to being able to have full capacity. It's just a 14-passenger bus,
Okay.
But that way it keeps it personal.
Yeah.
Again, I'm an entertainer, so I'm not just about transportation, but I'm also about making sure they have a good time. So we have limousine-style seating. It's not road seating. And I make sure that, I build them up. We're bumping some music in there. We've got, like I said, if they want the karaoke package, they can choose to have that or not. So we're singing. I put different card games and board games on the bus. People want to play that. So yeah, we just make sure they have a good time.
Wow, that's a lot going on, dude. So how do you do board games and karaoke and this and that and drive? How many employees do you have driving it?
Yeah, so, well, technically I've got 4 other employees that can drive the bus. Usually, though, I've just got a couple that I primarily work with. If somebody chooses a karaoke package or wants a host to help them play some more of the games and stuff like that, then I do have one other person that rides on the bus with us. While I drive, or vice versa, I'll have somebody else drive while I host the karaoke and games and stuff like that.
Wow. So, the School for Troubled Kids, I'm going to go back. We're going to bounce back to the party bus. The School for Troubled Kids, that's the way I describe it. I don't want to tell everybody what school it was or whatever. Mm-hmm. But man, I don't know if I told you all the stories. So there's a place called, Natalie will know the name. We do a Valentine's Day show for them every year. And it is, when they say kids are in cages in Mexico and all that stuff? Mm-hmm. They're not. They're at a camp. Mm-hmm. Because mom and dad are both in jail and they go to this camp until they figure out where the kids go. Mm-hmm. And we do a show for these people every year. Child Help is the name of the place.
Okay.
So many students of mine I saw that's troubled kids. Mm-hmm. Mom and dad are in jail later on down the road. That's why they're troubled kids. I mean, there's stuff going on at home.
Right.
I don't know if I ever told you that or not, but man, some of these kids, there's some stuff going on.
They have really bad lives.
Right. But teaching them magic and getting some of them to come out of their shells, it was awesome. I really enjoyed that.
I would say some of my greatest moments, so I don't know if we've established it yet or not. I am a teacher, and I think some of my greatest moments have come from working from that school, bringing entertainment to the classroom. Even though I taught English and geography, I would also bring theater into the classroom. And a lot of these kids didn't have households that would take them to a theater. They may have been to a movie theater, but they've never seen a play, never had seen magic, and a live performance. And then even separate from that, talking about transportation of like the party bus, I had kids never been to the beach before, never been out of state, maybe never even been out of town before. And so providing them this sort of entertainment, something away from video games, something away from internet, and letting them see some culture, was a great experience. And I've had several students improve their academics, especially with like public speaking. Their writing would improve, just their interest in school overall improves by using entertainment. It really catches their interest and shows them things that they never get to see.
Well, for me, it also helped out when the teacher was into it. Like when you were in my class, it was awesome. Mm-hmm. But I had some teachers that just didn't want to be there or didn't want to partake or help the kids. Mm-hmm. That one teacher, I don't know if I ever told you about her, she would coddle the kids so much and hug them and hold them and like feed them goldfish crackers during the class. And it's like, you're more distracting than the kids are, lady. Right. What are you doing?
Right.
But
that unfortunately happens as well. But like you said, when you have a good combination of a teacher who's in there who's also interested in the subject themselves, the kids look up to adults.
They feed off of them.
They watch what they do, and if they're into it, then the kid will get into it as well.
One of the worst things they do at I say daycare centers, but some of these daycare centers have kids up to 15 years old during the summer, especially Richmond, Northern Virginia, because both mom and dad are working. They have to go somewhere. Right. And they'll book us for 2 shows. They'll want us to do a show for the 2 to 5-year-olds and a show for the older kids. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, book one show, put them all together, because the little kids look up to them.
Right.
They know when to clap now. Now they know when to... Now you gasp at that part. Oh, I get it. That is a bunny. Or they start mumbling back and forth. The older kids will shush them.
Right.
Don't separate them like that. They need something to look up to.
I've noticed that doing children's shows in libraries and school and classrooms and everything is sometimes we've been to libraries before that had a morning show that was for the younger kids and then an afternoon show for the older kids. And it works both ways. The older kids will think they're too cool for it. the younger kids will have no clue what's going on. But when we do shows where they're mixed together, the older kids enjoy watching the younger kids having fun, and the younger kids will be able to understand, like you just said, when to laugh, when to clap, how to respond appropriately. They're more likely to behave because they see, oh, these kids are bigger and they're sitting still, so I better sit still too. So again, it brings it back to entertainment of any sort, like what we do, is really a great learning tool to use for kids.
And you got those teachers that just clock out. Once your show starts, they just sit in the back and start talking. And then the kids in the back can't hear, so then they start talking, and it's all the teacher's fault.
So what I like to do when I do improv, or when I do like murder mystery, there's a lot of improv involved with that. So it allows me to pick on those people. And most of the time they appreciate it, and it makes them realize, oh, I'm not paying attention. I'm not using appropriate social skills, even though I'm an adult. And so that's a lot of fun to get to play with them as well. Go out in the audience, pick on them, and then the audience can laugh at them as well. Most people handle that okay. Every now and then somebody might get offended by it.
I'm very into picking on people.
Right.
I do that a lot. But I did a show in Northern Virginia, and the lady was on her phone. And I'm like, lady, there's a show going on. Put your phone away. And then the principal came over and just started scolding her. And I'm like, oh, no, I was just joking. I mean, yeah, she was on her phone. Yeah, I was calling her out. But I didn't mean to get the woman fired.
Right.
I don't think she got fired, but she got a talking to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be watching the kids.
Well, and that's the thing, if you have, even with an adult, sometimes adults need to see other adults and how they react. And I think that's why I had a lot of success in the classroom in the school, because not only was I getting kids to participate, I was getting teachers. Maybe the teachers used to be great teachers, but they've been doing it for 20 years and they're just burnt out, because especially working with kids with emotional disability or something, it's tiring. They deal with a lot. But when they see somebody coming in with a fresh attitude and really having fun with it, helps them remember, oh, maybe I should be a little more lighthearted with it, and maybe I should get back into it. And so yeah, I've enjoyed working with all ages in that aspect.
So I would just show up, do my show, and get out. Go into the office, sign in, go to the classroom, do the gig, and get out. Going back, I'm gonna get back to that point in a second. But going back to calling that lady out, I think I made a joke like, oh look, that lady is enjoying the show, guys. It looks like she's playing on her phone, but she's actually tweeting everybody, all of her friends and family, that the famous magician. She's enjoying the show so much. Perfect. I tried to make a joke like that instead of just calling her out, but she got in trouble. I was like, oh no. But as far as the teacher aspect, things you don't realize as a student, and your teacher's going through things. Yeah, there's personal stuff at home. Broke up with a girlfriend, broke up with a boyfriend, whatever, husband trouble, home trouble, whatever. But there's also a whole political thing about, you're in your classroom all day, you think the teacher shows up to work, does her thing, and goes. There's principal issues. There's the teacher next door is a jerk issue. There's all the, your teacher's assistant's sick, so now you got this lady that keeps stuffing goldfish down the kid's throat, distracting.
Right.
All this stuff is a burden on you. You can't do your job because now you have to play a political thing as well.
Right.
I learned a lot. I was like, whoa, I didn't realize.
Well, and that's the thing, we hear about it a lot recently, and some people just put it to the side and they're like, oh, people are just complaining. But realistically, to be a good teacher, you have to be a good performer, because we deal with a lot. We deal with students that have all different kinds of issues, that speak different languages now, is a big one in the classroom, with different abilities. And then you have state regulations, federal regulations, different laws to follow. You have a principal who says one thing and an assistant principal who might say a different thing. And then you've got parents who most of the time end up supporting a kid that their kid that may tell them one thing when the truth is really something different, but they don't want to hear it from the teacher. They're going to believe their young child instead. When I was in school, I know it was usually the opposite way, where parent was going to listen to what the teacher had to say. So it's a lot that we have to deal with, because you don't know what's going on in their lives, but then also we have to take whatever is happening in our personal lives and throw it at the door. We have to come in there and act, be that performer, like everything is great, because we don't know what's going on in those kids' lives, and so we have to try to make their lives as best as we can.
Well, and also when I was doing my gig there, I didn't get a heads up. I don't know anything about any of those students. So when I saw the kids at Child Help, I'm like, oh, now it makes sense, you know, stuff like that. But we had a student one time that, you know, never spoke a word. And just to get that kid to smile was a big, you know, a big landmark. I was like, whoa, I made him smile today.
One of my favorite stories that makes me tear up, usually even just thinking about it, and I haven't talked about this in a while, so I'm about to tear up now, was we had
Paper towels right there.
Thank you. Just in case I spill my drink again. So we did have this student that transferred to our school, because usually what would happen is one of the schools in our surrounding area that didn't have the support that some students needed, they would send them to our school. And we were warned about this one kid that he was very brilliant, but if something frustrates him, completely shut down and would scream and scream and scream. And this was like a 15, 16-year-old kid. And when we got him, sure enough, at first, that's what happened. And we would have separate behavioral specialists that were trying all kinds of tricks with this student. And some of them definitely helped over time. But sometimes he would go, we have this quiet section, and he would go into the quiet section and just scream so loud. I was in the high school, but people all the way down in the elementary wing of the building could hear him screaming, and they would come running up to make sure everything was okay.
Wow.
And I somehow, I don't know if I'm as good as a teacher as I used to be, but somehow I got him really interested in theater. And I remember specifically, we've read the story, the play version of Man of La Mancha about Don Quixote. And he just really connected with this story. Well, luckily at that time, I was actually just a teacher's assistant, and I worked with another teacher who let me kind of do whatever I wanted to do with the students with theater. And we spent a long time working on this show. And by the time we were done, probably after about a semester, this kid went from screaming his head off and not wanting to be around anybody in this quiet room to, we had him performing down in our gym was our common space, and we had a set in the gym, and we did 4 scenes from the show, and he did 2 of the scenes as the main character performing. We had, we don't have a lot of people come to these shows. There were other teachers in the school, some of the younger kids would come see it, and maybe a couple of parents. And this kid who was screaming his head off in the quiet room performed as Don Quixote in front of this, to him, huge audience of 40, 50 people. And that is probably one of my most proud moments as a teacher. And after that moment, we never really had him doing that again. He kind of learned that there are other strategies that he could use, and one of those strategies was performing. And I don't think he's out there now. I haven't heard from him in a while, but I don't think he's out there performing plays or anything now. But I think he's been able to manage life and be a successful person. A big piece because of theater.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, so I got that job there. Got to know you really well. I think I was working there 3 years before somebody said, or you said, I'm the one that got you the job here. I'm like, what? Wow, thanks.
Yeah.
No, but I had a lot of fun there. It touched a lot of people, and I did the spy magic class. I did magic class. I had a lot of fun there.
Right.
But tell me about your other acting stuff. So I know you've done TV and movies. Mm-hmm. So from high school, did you study acting anywhere?
Yeah.
Or?
So I can just kind of give you the full spectrum.
Yeah,
here. I started knowing that I wanted to be in entertainment pretty much since kindergarten. Our school used to do the yearly annual talent show, and I wanted to be in it. And my friend and I sang "I've Been Working on the Railroad," and we won first place and got my first ever trophy. I think I still
That
have
was
it
kindergarten?
today. That was kindergarten.
Wow.
And
that's cute.
I just knew at that point in time I wanted to do it. As the years went on, you know, I still have a hard time admitting this, but I slowly learned that singing is not necessarily my thing.
But you had a trophy.
But I got a trophy when I was 6 years old. I even in high school, I got really into doing theater, and you know, in high school you usually have a spring musical, and I lucked out. I also used to play sports. I played a lot of soccer. I made the soccer team twice, but both times that I made it, I also got a lead role in our spring musicals. And so that was kind of a big deal to me. I used to be a lot more shy than I am now. A lot of people would not believe it that I'm a shy person, because I do enjoy talking to people, but initially I'm a shy person. Theater helped break me out of that. My brother had done some theater, and so I kind of wanted to follow what he was doing there. Anyway, in high school, I was in a musical, and at the end after the musical, we had our cast party. And I'll always remember I had a director who said at the cast party, "I wish we had 1,000 more Aarons, but I also wish we had 1,000 more Aarons that could sing."
Oh,
and I was
no.
like, ouch, but at the same time, that it helped me realize,
Backhanded compliment, kind of.
Okay, maybe I do need to evaluate myself. So after that, though, he also taught me, he was like, "Aaron, you're a really good actor, so why don't you act like you can sing?" And there's something about that just struck me like, whoa, okay, I'll do that. And so for a lot of plays, I did several musicals after high school and community theater especially, where that's what I would do. So I became a character actor, and used that as how I could get a good role in a musical. After high school, though, I originally thought I wanted to be a film director. So
You weren't lip singing. I'm getting back to that though. You weren't lip singing.
No.
You acting like you could sing.
Acting like I can sing, right?
That helped you be able to sing.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, for instance, though, that also helped me find what kind of roles I typically am good at. For me, I've always been like the stereotypical nerd, boy next door, kind of hopeless romantic. And with that, I can kind of use my voice to manipulate how I think that character would actually sound in whatever the production may be. So I was talking a little bit ago about how I had that student in Man of La Mancha. Well, I was able to teach that so passionately because that was my favorite role that I've ever had, was I played Sancho Panza in Man of La Mancha, which was my first big community theater role I had ever gotten. And again, you know, my musical director knew that I wasn't a strong singer, but knew I had some sort of talent there and knew how to help me tap into that and sing it as kind of more of just a comedy song kind of. So I've really used that in all the shows that I do. I have had more serious shows. I know Natalie's a big fan of Wizard of Oz.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I have played the Tin Man before, and I
cool.
think that was at the peak of my singing ability because I had been doing musicals over and over and over again. I was working with a lot of musical directors, and they helped me get to a point where I could carry a tune pretty decently. Unfortunately, I think that's the last musical I've done, and that was back in 2012 or 2013. But yeah, I went on a break from theater for a couple of years because I wanted to go into film. And then I got a job at TV stations in Charlottesville. So I kind of changed my school path. While I was at the TV stations, I was like, man, I don't really know if I like the news. and this was years ago. I feel like the media has not necessarily gotten any better recently. In fact, I think it's gotten worse. But
And that's not political. That's not
that's
either
not-
side. That's all sides.
That's all
Yeah.
sides. And honestly, so we haven't said what kind of teacher I am now. I used to be a special education teacher, but I teach media studies now. So I feel like I'm free to say I don't like the media because I teach it, and I try to teach these kids a more positive way of expressing themselves. But anyway, back to the theater side. While I was working at the TV stations, I realized how much I really missed theater. So, at that time I just went back to community college and I got an associate's degree in theater. Did a lot of college shows, and that helped kind of rebuild my confidence and help me see what I enjoy doing. From there, I ended up going and auditioning at Cedar Fair Kings Dominion in Richmond, one of our big amusement parks here in Virginia. And I did not get cast. And so I was like, okay, maybe, this whole theater thing is just a fantasy hope pursuing that kind of dream. So I kind of wobbled. We were just talking, I went through several different jobs, odd jobs here and there. And then next year auditions came back around. And I was like, you know what? Let me try one more time. And if I don't get it this time, then I know that I probably should be looking in a different direction. And I went to the audition. It was at James Madison University. And there were 5 times as many people that were there from last year. And I got really worried because then I'm also seeing these people are dancing, these people are singing. And as we know now, I wasn't the best singer, so that's getting in my head a little bit. And I was like, these are all
And from your
trained.
looks, you don't look like a dancer either.
So if I'm not a singer, I'm definitely not a dancer. I will. Back when I said I did the Tin Man as the Wizard of Oz, it's a good thing they made me the Tin Man because then I could be a little rusty,
A little stiff,
with
yeah.
it there. I love to dance. I absolutely love to dance. But if it has to be like a specific type of dance, I am not that great at it. But singing, I had improved. Like I said, I had improved on my singing at that point in time. So I did my audition, and immediately they said, hey, can you go step into the side room over there right after my audition? And I was like, well, that's interesting. They haven't asked anybody else to go into that side room. What are they going to do to me? And they immediately started fitting me for a costume right there.
Wow.
And they were like, this isn't anything guaranteed, but we just want to go ahead and get your sizes. I was like, okay, this is a good sign.
Yeah.
At the time, I was actually working at a garden center as an assistant manager.
Wow. You've had like 900 jobs.
I have. And the funny thing is, I know nothing about gardening. But I was an assistant manager for 1 month. Luckily, it only lasted 1 month because after that audition, I remember I was like cleaning off shelves or something, and I got a phone call. I wasn't supposed to be on the phone. I was like, where can I go sneak off? Because I reckon this is a Richmond phone number. I'm up here in Greene County, Virginia. Well, I know who this is going to be. And I sneak off, I take the call, and they were like, yeah, we'd like you to come in for a second audition. And I got so excited. I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. I got to get out of here. So, I had a day and I went down. Really embarrassing because I was on time for the audition, got to King's Dominion, and could not find where it was supposed to be at. And I was, at this point, I'm driving all around, and I'm like, okay, I got to try to find service so I can find a phone number to call. Found a phone number, and it went to voicemail. And I was freaking out. I was like, no, this is my chance. And finally, I went down a road that said not to go down. Turns out that was the road that I was supposed to go down. And found my way there. And the production assistants that were holding the audition were just about to leave when I got there. And so I went and... they said, oh, we were just about to leave. We had one other person come, so let's see what you got. And so I just gave it my all right there. And they were all smiling, thanked me for coming. And I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. I don't think I'm going to get it. I was so late. And the very next day, gave me a phone call, and they said, we want to offer you the lead role. and it was for their children's show, not for a musical, but it was for their children's show. And to this day, that was back in summer of 2009, to this day, it was still my favorite job I've ever had, performing all summer, and then that Halloween, I was the head monster, and just the people I got to work with, I was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and had such a successful time there. They ended up having me do a lot of voiceover stuff. They loved me so much to, put the announcements across the whole park and everything, and it was a really special time for me. So that's when I continued doing theater. The season ended. I wanted to go back to work there, but the season ended, so I needed a job. That's kind of quickly how I fell into education. And I could go on and on about how that happened from there. But from there, I continued to do theater. I continued to do community theater, started doing murder mystery shows, started doing library performances with a children's theater company, and and then I started my own company back in 2012, Teleplay Entertainment, that I originally started as a theater company, but DJing and emceeing events and stuff kind of just took off a little more than the theater aspect. You asked me about television and film. I've started with that with the movie Evan Almighty, back in 2006, I think is when that came out.
Crozet.
It was filmed in Crozet because the director of Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty is Tom Shadyac, who's from Crozet, apparently, and that's why they wanted to film there. And I got to see the big giant ark that they built, Noah's Ark, or in this case, Evan's Ark, out there. And that was really cool to be background on the set for that.
You were in the courtroom scene? Is that what it was?
No, I was asked to be in that scene. This one, I was just outside while they were building, while Steve Carell's there working on the ark with all these animals coming in. So it was really cool to see him in the Noah kind of costume, and giraffes and monkeys all coming in with hammers and everything. It was a really cool day to be on set. And then Steve Carell seems just as friendly as you would think he is, because while the cameras were off, he was dancing around with Lauren Graham and just having a good old time. So that was encouraging too, to see, okay,
can we see you
I want to do this. In that one, you can't see me in. I think the camera was like just above my head.
Oh, wow.
Other things you can see me in. So it took several years before I really found out how to get more involved in film, especially in Virginia. You don't think of film and Virginia as kind of the same. You don't put those two things together. But in the past, I would say 5-6 years, film industry really has come to Virginia, and especially around the Richmond, Petersburg area. I did a play in Charlottesville with some people who had done some background work, and they told me about a site to go to sign up to get on this mailing list. And I was like, okay, is that really that easy? And I signed up on this mailing list, and I started getting casting calls for all kinds of stuff. And now at this point, I have, like, they're not necessarily my agents, but 3 different agencies that contact me regularly with work. Some things like you could see me in Turn, Washington Spies, that was on AMC for several seasons, was filmed here, and I was in 3 episodes of that. You can see me in a couple of episodes, but you would need me probably to point me out there. The couple of other good shows, I'm blanking on some of the names now because I ended up doing so much.
Do you have IMDb?
I had started to make one for myself. I never kind of followed through with it, but you can. You can contact me and I can tell you where to find me.
Well, there you go.
I'm blanking on the big one that was filmed with Mandy Patinkin. Which it was in Homeland. There it is, Homeland. And before I realized who he was the guy from Princess Bride, and I was on set with him all day, and then finally somebody told me who he was. I was like, that guy's been walking by me all day. That's amazing. And so that was, I was in a couple episodes of that, and you can see me in there. I've done, my biggest one though is with the children's show that I do. I do multiple children's shows, but they're kind of a series with my friend Chris Markham, who's a director, and he owns Impressions Theater. He got me in to do theater with him, and liked me so much that he kept me on to be his co-actor with all the shows, and we've been performing together for 12 years now. We decided to turn one of our shows into a movie, and we actually spent a year filming and editing and turning one of the theatrical shows into a movie, Clues Energy Adventure. So that was a lot of fun to put that together. And anytime we go to libraries, we make sure every library that we've been to has a copy of that, and so you can check that out as well. So I've done lots of television. The movie Loving that came out was a big contender with the awards season. Golden Globes, they were nominated. Academy Award, the lead actress in the movie was nominated for an Academy Award. And I got to be like a construction worker in the background for that. And so I really got into that, and I thought that's kind of, I was finally making my way of building everything up in the entertainment business, and thought that's where I was gonna go with everything. And same time I decided to get the party bus. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna DJ, I got the party bus, I'm gonna do all this acting. And then all of a sudden one year, the party bus was delayed in getting to me, and the film industry in Virginia had been booming, and then all of a sudden it just kind of left Virginia right in the year that I decided to stop teaching and just pursue that. So I ended up doing some traveling, and I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. And I ended up going back to teaching, and like I said before, instead of doing special education, I'm doing media studies now, which is at least related to what I enjoy doing. And then the film industry has come back to Virginia again now, and I've been asked multiple times to be in a couple of shows, but with COVID, it's a lot harder. You have to spend a lot more time, preparing for that and doing COVID tests and everything. So it's been hard getting some film work in the past 2 years or so, but now that's on comeback too.
Well, the other crazy thing about you and all your jobs, we work Shenandoah Crossing Resort, Massanutten Resort. There's a murder mystery show here. They have a murder mystery here on Thursday nights or whatever. And I'm like, okay. Didn't realize that was you all these years. And then library shows. You see your posters on the walls at libraries we go to. And then I get a job. I was working Massanutten Resort, and the guy came up to me and said, have you ever done restaurants? I said, yeah, that's how I got started in magic. I could advertise at every single table, give them a card, and do close-up magic at restaurants. Well, cool. Would you like to do ours? Well, if you let me have days off when I have a real show and you're okay to pay this amount, I'll do it. And I'd show up at Wild Wing Cafe, and there you are DJing and doing trivia nights and all kinds of other stuff. You're a go-getter. And I have no idea where your escape room is, but I know you're a partner with somebody in the escape room.
All right.
Dude, you're so busy, so many things going on.
So I always did think it was funny. I guess that's kind of a little bit of where the shy part of me, I guess, comes in, is because this whole time, like, I knew you before you knew me. I knew we had gone to the same school. And it would just be funny that I would get to a library and look at the advertisement poster, and I would see your name. Had been there just a couple of days before I was there, and that just kept happening. And then at Massanutten, like you just said, the same thing kept happening. Wes Iseli was here for magic, and I was like, oh, now I'm up here doing murder mystery. But it was weird that it really took a while. We were in the same places, but it wasn't until, like you said, Wild Wings, that we finally happened to be there on the same night a couple of times. And and that was a really good time working there. And then on top of that, I am a financial backer for immersion escape rooms. So my brother and like his good college buddy own that in Charlottesville, and they've always been great at games, programming, computer stuff. Mark, who's my brother's friend, actually spent some time in Hollywood, LA, working on movies. My brother lived out there for a little while as well, just kind of getting a feel for it. And what they've come up with is, it's called immersion escape rooms because it really makes you feel immersive. Just like I imagine when you're doing magic, you want the audience to feel immersed in what you're doing. When I'm doing murder mystery, as we were talking about how we like to pick on people who may not be paying as much attention or something during the show, I like to include them in the show. And that's the kind of feeling that they wanted to create in the escape room, and that's why I wanted to be a part of that. I love storytelling, as you can tell as I talk for 5 minutes straight or something. But I'm a storyteller, and I love the idea of games. And they're both, my brother Jeremy and our friend Mark, are both just very smart individuals. So their escape rooms are built to actually make you feel like you've just walked onto like a movie set. Everything is pretty much handmade or thought out by themselves. They're not ordering parts. A lot of the escape rooms, especially in this area, but a lot of escape rooms just buy pre-made puzzles and all of this. And these guys, I guess in a way, is kind of like magic, because I don't know how they come up with it. I'm not that great at solving some of the puzzles myself, but I enjoy trying to figure it out. And they've really done a great job with putting these together. And each room has a different theme, like most escape rooms, but they've created that has one storyline. So you can go into one room and it would be like where the story starts. And then each room is a different part of the story. So you can check them out, Immersion Escape Rooms, to find out more about that story.
Is that immersionescaperooms.com?
Yep, immersionescaperooms.com.
So my question is, my little girl's watching escape room stuff with little teeny bopper kids on YouTube, and she's really into it. And I'm like, I love puzzles, but I do not like getting stuck. I don't want to be stuck in a room. That doesn't sound like fun to me. I have the door open behind me, that'd be great, whatever. And I don't like losing. I'm very competitive. Do they have a beginner level of escape room for my little girl to play?
Well,
are they all?
She might be better than you.
She might be.
And I say that jokingly, but seriously, at the same time, sometimes kids' imaginations actually allow them to think of things in different ways that as adults we've just become accustomed to thinking, oh no, well, that can't be. That's not a possibility.
Same thing with magic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kids will say, dude, you just put it in your left hand. And an adult said, he wouldn't do that. He's a real magician. He wouldn't have just did that. Yeah. No, he did, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Kids are good at figuring things out. Yeah, so, some of the rooms are easier than other rooms. The great thing about immersion escape rooms is their hint system. That's, in the escape room world, that's what they would call it, is a hint system. But again, all the other escape rooms I've been to before, they say, okay, just look at the camera and ask us if you need a hint. Or here's a walkie-talkie, just ask us if you need a hint. You get 3 hints or something like that. For us, there's no limit, and it's not, we really try to immerse you again. So you get a tablet, and you're actually interacting with a character. And if you need help with something, at any time, there's no limit to it or anything. You can ask the person that you're talking to on the tablet what to do, and they're going to make it as part of the storyline to keep you immersed, not just saying, okay, just turn the dial left or something like that. So they're really, really good with hints. They've had all ages. How old is Lana now?
She's 9.
Almost 10.
I think that's probably an age that we have had. Some kids start to come in around that age.
Dude, that's doable. I mean, my thing was, I like to win. I don't care if I cheat a little bit, just as long as I win.
Right.
I don't want it to say game over, man, you're a loser. That doesn't sound like, and I
no.
paid $20 a person to do that. That doesn't sound
Exactly.
like fun.
And so so if you're that kind of person that doesn't mind, because I've gone it, because I'm kind of a little different. I like to go into a room and say, I don't want any hints. I want to figure this out on our own. But when they make it part of the storyline, that makes it a little more comfortable in being willing to ask for help, because I'm getting a little extra aspect to the story that other people might not get. Like every time you go in, it could be different. And you said stuck in there, just to let you know, they're not legally allowed to lock the doors.
No.
So you can get out, and there's a bathroom close by too if you need that. But yes, so the cool thing, obviously people weren't able to go in there when everything was first went quarantine, and so we started this Kickstarter just to see what would happen, where they came up with this game idea to be able to send home. And we didn't know how many people would actually be interested in it. So they figured out, of course, what the bare minimum they would need to get off of Kickstarter to make it worth putting some of these games together. I think their goal was to get enough money and 60 supporters, to have 60 fan supporters on there. They ended up with 500.
Oh,
and
nice.
they originally only wanted to keep it in the country because shipping costs outside of the country is ridiculous, especially for a package, with all these cool trinkets and stuff in it. And they ended up getting so many requests from people all over the world, and they said, "Oh, well, we're not shipping across the world." And they said, "Well, we'll pay the shipping costs. We want it." And
So it's just like a at-home board game, or is there a video that goes with it? Or?
So these guys, again, they don't want just something average, normal, because you see some of these escape room board games at, department stores or whatever, and you see other ones I've seen like on Facebook advertised or something, where they're just taking these papers and they've made the papers look wrinkly and old or whatever. But no, this is much more immersive than that. The game is called The Messenger. It is they provided you with I don't want to give away anything. There's all kinds of items in there, and then there's also the online aspect of it. And a lot of people think, oh well, it's an escape room, so I have an hour to do this. No, this is something that's actually a story again, where it's going to take you a while to solve it. I think people have had it. So the Kickstarter started back in June. We just were able to finalize it, get it out into January or something, and people are just now really starting to solve it. That's how intense it is. But they've also now started putting out a hint system. There wasn't originally a hint system for that. But yeah, you can use the internet if you want, but they also have other things you can do offline. And there just happens to be some film aspects of it with a character that you follow around that somebody that you may know might be in.
Nice.
Taking on one of those character roles.
So and you're part owner in that as well. That part. Awesome, dude.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Where can people see the Kickstarter video on that, or?
So I would just go to their website again. I would go to immersionescaperooms.com, and you can find out some more information on that there. You can also check out any of their social media. And that's where you can find some good information on that. I know they're already in the works of wanting to do another one. I'm still just like, well, let's recuperate a little bit. Let's take a breath, because, it's a small business. Again, we're not paying all these other people to create this. We're keeping it really tight knit. My brother and our friend Mark are the only two that actually know all of the details. Anybody else that gets involved with it, even myself, I don't know the answers. I don't know the solutions. I only know the parts of the story that maybe I was a part of the film for, and sometimes they'll run ideas by me. And then, my dad helped make, for people who are higher level supporters, my dad spent a lot of time actually handcrafting the boxes the wooden boxes that you get the different pieces of the game that you need.
Whoa.
So it's a pretty cool concept, and was a huge success. And of course, we're hoping to keep growing from there and keep checking that out. Yeah.
Daggone, man. You need a mall of your own just to have a store for each party business place, and you can book the school shows and library shows and the murder mystery thing, and then you got your manager's office where he can send you to acting gigs.
All right.
Then you got the projects we're talking about in the next building, and,
Right. Well, that's
and
what
then the escape room. You got and DJing and trivia nights. Holy guacamole, dude.
I've always thought, malls are shutting down all
Yes.
over the place, and they have been for years. But now, it's hitting a little closer to home because I feel like malls around us have been surviving better than some malls, but now they're falling down too. While the interiors are still very nice and very well decorated and everything, I've often thought, how fun would it be to turn these into entertainment places? There aren't many places, especially for teenagers or even kids, to go to, and parents are always looking for entertainment, but for some reason it just doesn't last. And so that's when kids end up being like, okay, I'm gonna sit at home with my face in front of a screen and do something virtual into an alternate reality, instead of, hey, let's be in this reality, let's enjoy each other. And I think we could take a place like a mall or an old department store that is shut down, and one side of it could be a music venue, one side could be a theater. I've even had the idea of, put in making a section of it, like an old J.C. Penney's, be the go-kart place or something.
Right, yeah. Or roller skating. Whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, I see it all the time, because kids nowadays on a Friday night, they're all parking at the end of the parking lot at Walmart and hanging out and listening to music and back the truck. They have nowhere to go, nothing to do.
And that's when trouble starts to happen.
Yeah.
If we provide a place for these, not just the students, but even adults, if we provide a place for them to go to, then they're going to have less trouble in their neighborhoods.
If you build it.
If we build it, they will come. So that's kind of been my theory of, I said I originally started Teleplay Entertainment as a theater company, but what do you know, DJing took off, doing karaoke, doing weddings, then doing trivia. And then one of my employees came up with the idea for the party bus. I didn't think that would happen. I built it. I know nothing about that, but I dove into it, looked into it, and was like, okay, let's make this happen. And then the escape rooms, again, I'm just a very small piece of that. I don't want to try to take credit of that being mine or anything, but I am a piece of that, and I'm proud to be, because again, it's providing entertainment. And I think entertainment can be used not just to entertain and fill time, but a way for us to bond socially, a way for us to learn about each other. So the more we build, the better community I think we can be.
So we got 8 minutes left, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? How many more jobs have you got in the works that you're thinking about?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because
I was joking. Oh my gosh.
No. With the after the virus struck, I really have been taking the time off to be thinking about what direction do I want to go in. And I had thought about slowing down. I'm like, okay, I'm teaching now. I've got a good teaching job. Let me just really give that a good hearty chance there. And I was going to slow down my DJing stuff, my MCing, my acting, all of that. And then, especially after, our place where we finally kind of really were connecting there, Wild Wing Cafe, they shut down due to the virus. And that was my main hangout spot there. They really supported me in anything that I wanted to do. They were helping me accomplish those goals. Well, now I've had a couple of other restaurants and places in the area say, hey, we've heard about you before, and we want you to be our entertainment here. And I'm like, I really take it into consideration. I'm like, I don't know. I was thinking about slowing down. I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And started with trivia. If you want to come out to the Shebeen in downtown Charlottesville, you can find me on Thursday nights there. doing some trivia, and that really built into a lot of success, so much so that they had someone else doing karaoke, and they didn't like them. I don't want to put anybody down, but they ended up getting rid of that person and said, Aaron, we really like you. We want you to take that over. And I'm like, oh man, I was thinking about stopping, but you're calling for me. Then I have a hard time saying no to that because I really enjoy it. So we're going to be starting karaoke up actually tomorrow, which will be Wednesday nights. And then I've had another place contact me and say, hey, we hear that you're having a lot of success over there. We want to see if you can do the same thing for us. So I'm going to be starting that next week, doing some more trivia there. And now this has just got me thinking again, okay, things are opening back up. People are looking for entertainment. They want to go out. Like I said, the party bus hasn't slowed down, and I didn't want to stop the party bus business anyway. That's been really building up. But now, I really kind of want to go back to my roots of what some of my original goals was opening my own place where I can provide weekly entertainment. People have a place that they can come out, whether they're traveling from all over the world or they're locals, and come out and have a place that they know that there's going to be entertainment there regularly, because I find that's kind of hard to find around here sometimes. So who knows what's really going to happen, but I want to continue performing and entertaining. I enjoy making people laugh, and I just want to keep doing that.
Well, you want to make them laugh, just sing and dance. That's all you have to do.
That's true.
Oh,
That's true. That is true. So I've really cut back on my weddings. Doing weddings is just a lot of work goes into that, and I've started to realize I really enjoy doing the party bus. I get a bunch of people from all over. I've had people from all over the country coming on that bus, telling me stories, and it's so fun just showing them around my town and hearing their stories from all over the world and just hearing them laugh. And then when they get to the point of maybe not being as fun, they've booked me for 5 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'll go on and let's part on good terms there. But yes, so...
Well, people might be listening to this 10 years from now. So is teleplay.com the place to find out your schedule, where you're going to be, what restaurants?
Yes.
Is that where they can book the party bus as well?
Teleplay.com. Yep, you can go on there. There's also SeavillePartyBus.com, which is also they're connected to the same site, just kind of depending on which tab or what you're looking for there. And you can fill out the message. And of course, we have a place where you can fill out any messages. You can fill out the information and book the party bus. Now, I like to keep things personal as much as possible. So if you go on there, if you log into there and you fill out a message, you're going to get a response from me, not some computer animated automated system or anything like that. It's going to be me coming up with the best deal for you, and coming up, helping you with your itineraries, personally helping you with what's going to be best for your business, with your party, with your group. And yeah, you can also email me at aaron.teleplay@gmail.com. And there's email for you directly.
And there's Facebook, Teleplay Entertainment, Seville Party Bus, Instagram, Teleplay Entertainment, Seville Party Bus. Dude, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes.
I've known you, 10 years now? And I just found out you had 20 other jobs I didn't know you had.
And I haven't even gone through them all yet.
Wow.
So who knows what's coming.
Well, dude, hang out real quick. We're going to make an announcement, and then we're going to get out of here. You are awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Tonight on Jewel TV, they're airing episode 10 from season 2 called We Have Shows Again. Due to the pandemic, we were sitting here twiddling our thumbs, walking our little hiking trails, playing with our little axe throwing wall, bored out of our mind, but it felt so good to be working again. Jewel TV is on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, the Jewel TV app, and tons of other places. It's in over 100 million households. All you have to do is look for it. See you next week. Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Express Copy and Graphics. Mention promo code Wes Iseli to get 10% off. Their website is expresscopy.com. That's XPRESS-COPY.com. They do it all. Copies, banners, signs, vehicle wraps, promo items, practically anything you need printed, they can do it for you. These guys are great. Check them out. Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.